Carolyn Ryan, and we are at Turning Point USA's AmFest here in Phoenix, Arizona. We're at the America Project booth, and joining us here today is Rachel Jones. She is a state representative here in the state of Arizona. So you are here at AmFest and representing Arizona. What are your thoughts so far?
Well, I think this is a great event. I'm so happy to be here with other patriotic Americans and a lot of just really good people who love this country as much as I do.
Yeah, so you're a state rep. You said you're a freshman rep. You ran. So tell me a little bit about how you ended up here, because you were never in politics before and you're like, hey, I got to step up.
Yeah, no, I never thought that I wanted to be a politician. That actually puts a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth. I think we were all very tired of the way that things were going after 2020, and so I had to throw my hat in the ring. I have 5 children. I was not feeling very positive about the direction of the country, so I decided to put in to run, and as a grassroots underdog, myself and my 2 seatmates, we got elected, and I had my first session in 23. So
more important than anything, you're a mama bear. I mean, you've got 5 kids, and I know you and I chatted a little bit before we started. I've got 2 kids and a little newborn at home, and you're right. It's when you look around, you say, this is not the country I had the opportunity to grow up in, and it instills a little bit of fear of what is this going to be like for my children.
Yes.
You know, Rachel, when you see, it's on both sides of the aisle, but right now with this administration, you see, trans activists topless at the White House, cocaine in the White House. This past week, we've had a Democrat staffer engaging in porn, gay sex in a Senate hearing room, and all of these things. You just think our culture is disintegrating before our eyes, and it's prompting so many regular Americans, moms like yourself, to want to get involved.
Yes, that is exactly what happened with me. As we see things really go the wrong direction in our country, it does put a little bit of a fear in me as a mom. As you said, when I was a kid, we were out during the summers barefoot, riding our bikes. We would stay out until the sun went down. We'd go home for dinner. And I just look now and see how things are. And even in our schools, in our public education system, instead of teaching our children math, reading, writing, they are learning these woke leftist ideologies. They are basically little communist factories, and it's very, very scary to see that. I want a good America for my children. So, and then we saw things with COVID in 2020, and freedom, I mean, it's really our freedom that's at stake right now. I know that sounds very cliche, but it really is. That's what's under attack the most, I think, is our freedoms as Americans, as well as just the family, specifically our children. I mean, they really are after our kiddos. And with 5 children, I will do anything I can to try to do my part in hopefully helping to turn the trajectory of all of this, and that's why I decided to run, and I got elected.
So what do you, as a state legislator now, what are you seeing, what conversations are you seeing in the legislature, and where can you start to implement some positive change in the right direction?
Well, during my first session, I'm in Tucson. I'm a representative of the Tucson area. Obviously, the border is a huge problem nationwide, but we really feel the effects down in Tucson. We already had a really bad homeless crisis down there, and with what's going on at the border, I mean, it is a travesty. To have fentanyl just pouring over the border, it's only adding to the problems in Tucson with the homeless crisis. We have business owners that are having to shut down. We have business owners that are finding drug needles every morning when they get to their place of business. They're having to get there 4 hours early to clean up the mess that's there. So this is really affecting my constituents, a lot of what is going on. So I've been able to fight for those types of things up in Phoenix. I was able to, after kind of putting my campaign on the back burner and really helping with the jab mandate, the vaccine mandate, there were a lot of people that were not getting help from their representatives. So they were calling candidates like myself, and we were able to help them learn how to fill out religious exemptions, medical exemptions, and we actually, as candidates, myself and my Senate seatmate, we ended up helping save thousands of jobs in that area. So we were really fighting for the people before we even got up to the Capitol. But then once I got in and the people put their trust in me, I was able to actually put forth legislation to try to protect people from vaccine mandates, to try to help our Department of Public Safety make sure that they're funded so that they can help us with the border crisis and things like that. So to be able to actually put that into action through legislation, unfortunately we don't have Kari Lake in there like we had hoped. So we've had some roadblocks, and I've had most of my bills this last session were vetoed by the veto queen. But other than that, we, to be able to at least try to do what's right for the people, and to have them look at you when you see them, around town and when you go to events and say, you're doing exactly what you promised. That's a very rare thing to hear as a politician, but I see myself more as a representative of the people and not a politician. And that's what I promised them I would do.
There were some major issues in 2022 with the election.
Yes.
And in 2020 as well. But in 2022, since you mentioned the governor, Katie Hobbs, is there hope for Arizona? 2024, it's right here. And and this is, I know people say this every election, but this truly is this is the most important election, I think, of our lifetimes. Is Arizona ready?
I think so. I know that there's a lot of doom and gloom. I hear some voters say, why bother? Our votes aren't being counted. I mean, there were definite shenanigans in 2022 with the machines, I believe, intentionally going down in Maricopa County. They were going down in very Republican districts, and Kari Lake, I mean, her voters, we were all kind of shouting from the rooftops, go in person, and a lot of people showed up that day to vote in person, and then a lot of things started to unfold that, once again, I think the biggest thing is people are losing confidence in our elections, and whether you believe that there's a significant amount of fraud like myself or not, I think 2/3 of Americans are not confident that the elections are being run well. So that's a huge problem. But I don't want to leave people with that doom and gloom, because I do think that we have a lot of people, and I meet them every day, I talk with them, that were either apolitical before, or they were even Democrats before. They were very left-leaning, and they're looking at what's going on in our country, the different things that we've talked about, and they don't like what they see. They don't like how this is affecting their wallets with all of the inflation. They are not impressed. I think even I have 3 teenagers, even kids, especially males that are younger, are seeing that this has gone too far one direction. And I think there are going to be a lot of people that come out in 2024 that the polls can't account for, kind of like 2016.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of phantom voters out there that are going to show up, and I think we're going to be pleasantly surprised.
Well, and I think, to your point, that's very, very smart. It's a very wise statement. And I think when you saw what happened in 2020, you got discouraged. You saw what happened in 2022, you got discouraged, especially in Arizona. Mm-hmm. I think Arizona voters in 2024 are ticked off.
Oh, yes.
And it's not gonna fly. No. They're not gonna let it fly.
No.
Once, twice, 3 times, no way.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know what that looks like, but I just know people are gonna be determined. They're aware.
Yes.
They're gonna be watching, and they're not gonna put up with it.
No.
And I think that does provide us some hope. To your point,
I think so.
we reached that point, and so it's all hands on deck.
Yeah, well, and if you don't go out and vote, you're automatically handing it to them.
That's right.
It is our
we have no choice.
Sacred duty to vote. I know that a lot of us believe that is being trampled upon, but I still think that is the one thing that we need to go and do. And we need to tell all of our friends and neighbors and family members that maybe aren't as involved to get out there and turn their ballot in, because it really is what you said about this being the most important election. I absolutely agree. And I know we say that every year, but I truly believe 2024 is it.
Yeah. So have some hope.
Yes.
Get out and vote. Rachel, thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.